All right. Welcome back, folks, ladies and gentlemen here. I'm your host, the Wolf of Crypto. Got ourselves another guest here that decided to come on down to the show, talk a little crypto, talk a little mud, talk a little bit about life here. And we got Adam Krief here on the show. Adam, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Doing well.
Doing
Thank you.
well.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to hear. All right, so Adam here. I want to ask you, what was your career like as a New York stockbroker?
Oh my God, that was a really intense experience. So it was my third firm that I worked at. I made it to Wall Street, and I was working with the guy who just opened up he came from like a Fidelity or something. He took like a team with him and started his own boutique firm on Wall Street. I don't know if I can say the name or not, but it's like notorious these days. He's like completely banned from the industry for life. They shut down the business, all
Uh-huh.
that stuff. But this was all like years after I'd already left. So I
Uh,
was there when he was first building it. And it was like you would come in 5:30 in the morning, you wouldn't leave until 8 p.m., 9 p.m. at night. You go right back to work the next day and do it all over again. There was no windows. It was just television screens and desks. We didn't even have chairs because if you sat in the chair, it would change your voice. And really, as a stockbroker, what they teach you is how to sell and how to present yourself. It's
mhm,
so little to do with picking a stock and knowing what stock's going to do, what when it's going to do it. It's really about sales
mhm,
and pushing people around. And so I really didn't like the pushing people around stuff. I
mhm.
was actually very good as a as a broker before Wall Street because I was very different. I would talk to people with decency. It was something that you literally were trained not to do, and it was like against the rules. It was like against what they wanted you to do. But it worked for me. And
Uh,
when I went to Wall Street, the guy hated that style. He didn't want me doing it. So we didn't really mesh well, but aside from that, it was just a ton of work, and it's cool to make people money. But there's a lot of things about Wall Street brokers that I don't really agree with. So I eventually just left. My intuition told me I needed bounce. Everybody thought I was crazy. And I went and I started dating. And that was a lot better for me. I didn't have to listen to an immoral boss, if you will. That was
Gotcha.
always a problem for me.
I'm pretty sure that's probably a
Mhm.
problem for some of us that are out there as well. We got those kind of bosses that we're like, oh, don't want to deal with. And as far as today's, I would say, main topic of where we're going to be diving in here and talking to on today's show is this ESO Meta Analysis. And I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, that you pretty much have
That's what matters.
created. How would you define ESO Meta Analysis in your own words?
It's a compilation of different like various techniques using extrasensory perception, astrology, technical analysis. It started with me just turning a tarot card over and looking at what the stock chart did, and turning another card over and looking at what the stock chart did. I've done this more than probably anybody. I don't know anybody that even comes close. I've done thousands of readings specifically using the system that I developed. And what it's designed to do is utilize the tarot in such a way that you can actually predict chart patterns.
Mhm.
And that was because through trial and error, I spent all the necessary time to one by one go through it and look at these chart patterns. There's like a database on my website of like past 1 day readings by the hour. And so it was like a control using the S&P 500,
Mhm.
and it started with the tarot. Once the tarot really started to become really reliable, and by that like 100 statements that I make, like something like 95, 96 of them will be true based on what I see with the tarot. Like, and that's predicting stock charts and the behavior, not just the highs and the lows and the timing of those, but all of the stock behavior in between, the chart behavior in between, excuse me, for stocks and crypto. Yeah, it
Okay.
uses ruins. It uses a lot of stuff. It uses some techniques that I developed through my own development of psychic perception. It's something I call reverse clairvoyant anchoring, which is when you give a symbol a meaning ahead of time so that when that symbol presents itself to you, you already know what the meaning is. There's no confusion. I use that technique quite a lot in the system. It's a very in-depth compilation of esoteric science, ESO,
Mhm.
and meta-analysis, meta pattern recognition, which is a giant pattern that we're like inside of. You need to look at a smaller version of it, and that allows you to see a section of the greater pattern. Is the best way to explain it.
Wow. Yes. I would say that's a lot of mouthful there. Another thing I wanted to stay on as far as this analysis, I'm pretty sure you might be the only one that has utilized these techniques and the way you navigate and actually how you built this. Is there any like analysis that's out there is like your competitor, or I'm just trying to figure out like how long did this take, and like how did you like figure out, okay, let me go
24
ahead.
years.
24 years.
Yeah, I've been working on it for 24 years. It wasn't until the last 5 years that I went public online. And originally it was like 3 years of just photos, no video. YouTube, I've been doing for 2.5 years or something like that now. But it's like before that, I was doing these 1 day readings for myself so that I could trade based on them. And the thing is, I was right about the information well before I started making money from it, because trading is about psychology. It's not about knowing up and down. And my psychology was not where it needed to be. So that was like a really frustrating part of my life, was in the process of learning that this was not only possible, but that I could do it regularly and make it something practical and reliable. At the same time, I needed to be able to show people that I can make money doing it, or they wouldn't even bother looking at it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for a long time, I knew it was a thing before I could actually trade on it. And the reason is that you're trading on something, it's a completely different system of trading. Like technical analysis is all about entry and exit of price levels. And ESO Meta Analysis, which if you combine that with technical analysis, is an extremely powerful tool to combine them to. But ESO Meta Analysis is predicting chart behavior. So you need to use entry and exit of chart behavior and a sequence of events so that you have an idea of where the time is going to, or where the high is going to be, like within an hour range.
Uh-huh.
And when you see the proper chart behavior around that time, that's when you enter or that's when you exit. It's a very different type of trading. So I had to develop all like a completely different way of trading just based on the system. It really is like a third form of analysis at this point. It's so in depth, and frankly, the other two, fundamental and technical analysis, don't even come close to the accuracy or reliability. They're not even the same playing field, man.
No, I can tell, and just by hearing how you're explaining it to me here, and the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, I was looking over your bio here, a 98% success rate. Let me just say that again for everybody that's watching and listening. 98%. Now that is, I would say, pretty much incredible, because you're like 2% off being pretty much perfect.
Yeah. So 98. So there's a lot of videos that say 98. I put it at 96 right now,
Okay.
not quite 98. But that's because when I did the 98, most of those videos, I was still only doing 1 day by the hour readings. We
Mhm.
started to add all different tickers. We started to add all different cryptos that required new spreads, ones for like monthly readings, one for weeklies, yearlies, multi-yearlies, all that stuff. So when I threw all that new stuff into the mix, it dropped a couple points. 96 still pretty solid
I mean,
though.
yeah, I was gonna say you're a guy. I figure, sure, you're like, I dropped to 96, and that's only
Yeah.
2% drop. And
Yeah.
again, you're above the 90 percentile, just right there. The fact that you can predict something. This is a tool that I know crypto is a little bit new, so I'm pretty sure you could probably give more depth on the traditional side as far as some of your trades that you've done in the past. Was there like one in particular where it was like significant prediction, and what was the outcome of that particular significant prediction that happened?
Okay, so it's a funny question because it's like it's so common to me. It's really, I'm not trying to sound cocky here, but it's, to me it's like something I do every day. Like
Uh,
I make toast. So what piece of toast stood out to you? You know what I mean? I've done it many times, but I'll give you an idea. I just started doing Discord alerts for some of my more loyal followers, and
mhm,
so it's when I'm actually placing a trade, I'll put a Discord alert out like right away, telling people what I did. And we just started doing this. What was it, on Monday? I did 6 trades. They were made money when it was going up. We're talking about the S&P 500. I made money when it was going up. I made money when it was going down. I made money when it was going up. I made money when it was going down. I made money when it was going up. I made money when it was going down. And I didn't leave any on the table, which doesn't happen that frequently. Usually I
uh,
leave some on the table because I like to play it safe. But
mhm.
I time these like into the minute, man. And there's people following that stuff, making money.
Yeah,
And
that's
the hardest part for me is getting people to actually suspend their disbelief long enough to go look at 3,000 free videos on YouTube proving this. I say that's the highs at a certain time. It either is or it isn't. There's a stock chart that shows you. Like, how do you fake that?
and just to hit on
uh,
that point, it's just I think sometimes people can't comprehend it. Yes, there's a lot of information that you obviously are presenting out there. You just said you have over 3,000 videos. So if I have over 3,000 proof points, what is keeping you guys from really just being, in a sense, all in, or just believing in the system, in the process? Because clearly you know what you're doing. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be getting these type of results that you're getting, and you're going to continue to get. You've been doing this thing for 24
well, so
years. Go ahead.
it's something that I learned along the way is that no matter how often I'm accurate, if I do something irresponsible, the universe is going to be like, you shouldn't have done that. It like happens like clockwork, man. So like betting the house is the dumbest thing you could ever do. It doesn't matter if you're right 98% of the time. Like it doesn't matter if listen, it doesn't matter if I was 100% right all the time. I was never wrong. If that was even possible, I still wouldn't bet the house on it. Why? Because just because I'm right doesn't mean I'm going to be able to place the trade. Shit happens in life. Excuse my French.
No,
I mean, stuff happens. Like I know that for a fact because I've been trading since E-Trade was the only online broker. I've had $60,000 losses because the power went out. You know what I mean? I missed the opportunity. Yeah, crazy, crazy stuff. But the thing is, I shouldn't have had that 60K down like I did to begin with. And that was the universe like, here goes the power, my friend. You better take it slow. When I take it slow, it goes so fast, man.
I got
It's all about mentality. It really is. Whether you know it or not, it's all about mentality and so little about being right or wrong. It's going to go against you. Even if, when you're right, it's going to go against you at some point. And if you don't have the right mentality, it doesn't matter how right you are. You're going to sell at a loss, period.
correctly. And again, this is something that I talked about before. The mentality aspect when it comes to investing, trading, just I guess with just money in general. Obviously, you can tell your mentality is pretty much set. You have what you have in mind that you're going to focus on. You're going to bet, you go after it. For people out there that don't have the mentality, that might be trying to develop that mentality, what would you say to those people out there that are trying to get into that tunnel vision in a sense, where it comes to taking that risk of your money and invested in and playing the market?
So you want to take it slow. All right. You dip your toes in, play it safe. Like when the way that you lose money is by having these outrageous ideas like, oh, maybe there's some more on the table. I got this profit, but what if it's not? What if there's more? And so you wait, and that mentality, and you end up with a loss 90% of the time. You should have taken the profits. If you took the profits, you could have then taken that money and then reinvested it. You know what I mean? But holding on to it, what if? That's the type of stuff that will, you see how that's mentality. It's all about how you think about the situation and the scenario. So you should take a good profit when it happens, take it. If there's a question, should I take it or not? Take it. Just take it. You can always do it again. Rule number one, protect your capital because you can always have more capital, but once you run out of it, there's no getting it back.
Right. And I've told people, because a lot of people ask me, oh, when you are in that position where you have made some great profit, you're all excited, you're all giddy, like, how do you press that button? Excuse me, to actually sell it? And I try to tell people, just do it. I hate to say it, it's just like you just do it. You have to do it because then now, guess what's going to happen? Now you're creating a habit of anytime you get yourself in this position in the near future, you have that, okay,
Yes.
you're not even thinking about it. You're just like, oh, I see profit, boom. So you're almost training your
Yes. And
mind to be a robot in a sense, to just take your profit. Because like you said, at the end of the day, that profit that you were thinking, oh man, it's going to go up like an extra 100,000, what could it be? It didn't. And it's now you're over here sulking and emotional. Do you feel like that next move that they might potentially make might be even a bigger risk because you're so emotionally tied from that last, oh, I wish I could have did this?
absolutely. You get PTSD from this stuff. It stays with you. And you could have been doing the right thing and it was just a bad shot. You could do the right thing and it still goes against you sometimes. So you have to be prepared for that. And you have to understand that if you did the right thing or the wrong thing, not get caught up on what happened in the past. Get caught up on what you need to do right now in this moment because that'll always take you in the right direction. If you get stuck in your head about what kind of gains you might have or what happened to you in the past, those are places you don't want to be. You want to be centered in yourself and in the moment and do what is the smartest thing in the moment on repeat.
And I wanted to ask you here, as far as people have, assuming following you, they're benefiting here from your predictions, what kind of feedback have you gotten from people that have been following you and seeing that, hey, this guy's analysis is, really working? 'Cause I'm pretty sure people have
All
reached
right.
out.
Yeah. First off, I have people that I call angel investors because they follow the rule of karma for the channel. the rule of karma for the channel, I'm asking people to donate 5% of the profits forward to a charity and 5% of the profits back to the channel. So I get these like random payments from people who are making money. Somebody, like this morning, there was $3,000 in my PayPal that wasn't there yesterday. That's because I have these free predictions that I'm just putting out there, trusting that there's good people in the world that will throw it back at me. And they do. And 5% is not a huge deal, but when I've got that many videos out there, it starts to add up. I got this little, what do you call it? I haven't looked at it in a while, but I've got this testimonials album. Other people pretend that they predicted this and that. The stock market has moved exactly how you said it would move since the video. Fake out lows end of January, rise in February until around 210. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. At this point, you're the only stock market channel I watch. These are like amazing.
It's amazing.
Your help and service is appreciated. There's very rarely do I get a negative.
Mhm.
And when I do get a negative, it's almost certainly from somebody who never even bothered to watch a video. They're just like, oh, you scumbag.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. And then I just ban them. And I'm like, good job, bro. I don't know.
Right? There's always going to be that like one bad apple or that sourpuss that's out there that we call them. They're just haters. Then they're just hating on them. Now, could you walk us through like a typical session where you make these predictions from daybreak to end of your shift where you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm live every day. Every New York stock market trading day, I'm live between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern. Usually get on at like 20, somewhere between 3 and 3:20. But anyhow, that's live. I do free question and answers, and whatever trading I'm doing at the time is there live. But before that, throughout the day, when the market opens, I'm there. When I'm looking at my predictions by the hour that I've posted like a month in advance at this point. I've got by the hour for the S&P all the way out to September now. So yeah, I posted a month in advance because if I posted it like a year in advance, nobody would even see the video when it was time to look at it.
I got it. Now,
yeah,
this particular model, your analysis, cryptocurrency is a big market, doesn't sleep. Obviously, start to see success in the traditional finance market. At what time and point did you decide to say, you know what, let me go ahead, take this and move it on over to the crypto sector and let's see how.
Yeah, first crypto I think was probably 3 or 4 years ago. It wasn't a long time ago. Like it was literally S&P 500 by the hour for 15 years. And then I started to add 1 years and like overlapping time frames and stuff. The way that when you're looking at it on charts, you'll look at like a 1 year chart and then you'll have a 1 month chart. Like you look at it from the same time frame, but from different kind of increments.
Right.
And so I had the same kind of idea with the readings that I was doing, so that I could take the bigger scale time frame readings information and then take the smaller frame and see how they like fit together. And it gives you like, there's so much information that there's almost always just one way that it all works, that it would be true. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's 2 or 3 variations, and those are days I try to avoid trading because there's a lot of doubt that builds, and doubt is how you lose money. It's the ones where it's one just flat out. That's how it has to be. If all of this is going to make sense, that's what it needs to do. And those days are they're awesome. You know, like sometimes I don't even trade. I just look at the reading and tell people what I would do. A lot of the time I do that because the amount of time it takes me to do all this. I'm putting out 100 to 120 videos a month. And that's me researching, recording, editing, and posting all by myself.
That's a grind. I can only imagine. That's a serious grind right there. So
yeah,
respect to you on that one. And when you did decide to come into the crypto market, was there particular coins that you were looking into to test it out, or was it just a overall type of?
I started with Bitcoin.
Okay, so Bitcoin was a
I
good
think,
one.
yeah, it just made the most sense. For me, for a long time, like the altcoins to me, I just felt, yeah, you can make money in them, but it seemed like a lot of them are going to be transient. Like when we had the .com boom, or I don't know if I might be giving away my age here, but mini disc players. You remember
I remember
those?
mini disc players, the compact disc. I remember those.
So I think probably very few of these cryptos will actually make it like long term. But that doesn't mean even with the ones that won't, you can't make money. So I started looking at them. I started with Bitcoin. I got a ton now. I got Cosmos, Avalanche, Bitcoin, Bitero, Kronos. What else?
Oh, shout out to them boys at Chrono.
Dogecoin, XRP. The ones that I think are most bullish, if you're asking me that, I think XRP and Sol are really solid bullish ones. XRP will probably be over $10 by 2026. And Sol, I don't really have a price target for that as much as it's just really bullish. And I was saying that when it wasn't what it is now. So it's got more room to go.
Of course. And let me ask you this, because oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Theta will be probably $3 at some point this year.
Oh, so this
I think it's like 120 or something right now.
Something around there. I think the last time I checked. So those of you guys that are listening and watching, hey, he did a little shilling there, a little shilling. But hey, folks, this is not financial advice. Always do your homework, do diligence. XRP, since you did bring it up, I feel like, let me ask you this. You said you got the crypto, you said about 3-4 years ago?
Yeah,
around there.
I started predicting it.
Okay, because I know people, when it comes to Ripple, like that community, I want to give them applause, because I feel like they've been holding on for so long, and they're waiting for like XRP to break out. Do you think
it's coming?
It's coming? Okay.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's going. Okay.
It's one of those that even for me, it's delayed itself a little longer than I expected, but it's there. I keep looking at my work and it's there. The funny thing about my readings is that when I am wrong, which happens sometimes, it's like it'll be just like partially wrong. Like I'll predict the high, the low, and everything in between, and maybe I'm off on the high a few days or something like that. But like everything from there all the way to the low was like all accurate. Oh. So when something deviates, you can then go look at the reading and be like, oh, that's what I should have seen right there. But this is what's going to happen next, because the rest of it's still accurate.
Like you were saying, I went from 98 to 96. There might be just a little bit, but I'm still on the right path. So I hear you.
Yeah, crypto's definitely more difficult because it requires a lot more work. It's a lot more time consuming. It's more difficult for sure.
That was going,
but it's still very.
That was going to be my next question, because stock market, Monday through Friday, certain times trade. Crypto, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They don't sleep. So obviously you do a lot of grind, a lot of research. When it comes to the crypto side, are you putting more time when you're actually in that realm compared to just the traditional stocks and SP 500?
I would say it's probably about 50-50. Yeah, like people will order custom readings. They help support the channel like that. Almost all my videos are free, but a lot of them will have a paid version, where I talk about what trades to actually make and when to make them. That's the paid version, but the public version tells you all of the chart behavior, where the highs are, and all that stuff anyway. So if you know what to do, you know what to do. Anyhow, so people will order these custom readings, and a lot of the time those will be crypto. For the most part, those are crypto. A lot more. I think the crypto community is more, I don't know if new agey is the right word, but they're more open-minded to possibility, if you will. I find the like classic stock people on Wall Street are much more difficult to get through to. And that's really what this whole thing is about for me, man. It's not, if it was about money, I would have just been a Wall Street broker. I would have pushed people around, made money on a phone call for 5 minutes and talked a bunch of crap. That was never what it was about. I wanted to show people what's possible, because there's so much more to the world than just what we see. Right. And it's the only way that I can do this is with that being truth. So I actually know a bit about how that works. And what I'm trying to do is get people's attention by utilizing something measurable, like impossible to fake. Right. And everybody pays attention to it anyways. I had no idea how difficult it would be to get people to go look at this stuff. It's like insane, dude. It's like literally insane.
No, it definitely is. And you brought up another point, especially when it comes to the whole mindset, being open-minded. Yes, a lot of people that are in the crypto community are a lot more open-minded. Probably, I would say, just because of the experiences and this technology. Once you actually get a better understanding of what it could do for you right now and the long-term future, I feel like it's a little bit more easier to have those conversations with people. Now, the traditional side, I would say these are the boomers, parents, my generation, third generation, stuff like that, trying to get them converted into just kind of see just a little bit. I'm not saying you got to just jump all in there, just get your toes wet a little bit like you're on the beach. I'm pretty sure you've had conversations where people that are having a traditional background, they see, maybe they've been following your analysis and they're like, you know what, he's been doing this. I want to get in crypto, but I don't know. Have you had any conversations like that And could you tell us what you did to pivot them to be a little bit more open-minded to coming over to this sector?
I think I really haven't come across too many people that are following my stuff that are like not already in that mentality where it's acceptable, because just to be the type of person that's going to actually take somebody seriously, like they're predicting with tarot cards, you got to understand, like most of the people listening to this have no idea what that means. They know what tarot card is, a card with a picture. They don't know how it works, why it works. They just see picture card. How can that be possible? They know nothing about the science behind it, the metaphysics, the fifth dimensional causality of it. It takes into consideration quantum entanglement and fractal science. But like everybody's so convinced they know reality, they're too busy to go look. That's the crazy thing. So people who have already come to the channel and they're following it, they're if there's an opportunity, they're much more likely to see it than the average individual, I think.
I got you. I got you. And yeah, because I know that whole fifth dimensional, I feel like that's popped up a couple times here in our conversation. I did look it over as well. You give us an explanation on like how do you access information from this, I don't know, like, quote unquote fifth dimensional reality. I'm just trying to get on the same page on what do you mean by that when you drop that here. Hope that was
Okay, so it's we don't live in a universe. We live in a multiverse. And I think this is one of the most profoundly important pieces of like hidden knowledge that once humanity like knows it on a mass scale, it will really evolve our culture like in a positive manner. Is that we exist, it's not like there's like infinite different versions of myself all over the place, right? There's infinite dimensions, but they all intersect at me. There's infinite dimensions, they all intersect at you, right? And so the thing about infinity is that it doesn't have a start, it doesn't have a finish, there's no cause, there's no effect. Did the chicken become before the egg or after the egg? It's infinite. So in one little verse of that multiverse, time can exist. There's a start, there's a finish, there's a cause, there's a reality, but it's an illusion. The real cause comes from outside of that universe. It comes from the multiverse outside in the fifth dimension, which is a timeless state, if you will, thing. And that's where the tarot is like a fourth dimensional object that you can utilize to manipulate fifth dimensional space. And when you manipulate fifth dimensional space, it impacts the fourth dimension, if that makes sense. That's where the real cause is. That's where the real cause is. And the way that you draw that information is you have to have a very strong awareness of your mind, because your mind is like the tool that is creating, it's projecting verse. Believe it or not, mind and subconscious thoughts, not the ones that you're aware you're having, but those deeper beliefs that all of your conscious thoughts are built upon. Those beliefs are projecting this like reality into existence. There's a delay called time, and that's so that we don't like instantaneously destroy ourselves. I'm thinking of a new boom. There's time, but like that delay, most people, the delay is so long that they can't put the thought to the manifestation. Like there's no connection. It was so far down the road. The higher up the vibration, higher is maybe not the best term, but like the greater your consciousness becomes, the more awareness that you have, the shorter the time frame between that manifestation. And the thought is the cause, not what happened in front of you that looks all obvious, like it made this thing happen. It's the cause, it's the thought. And the thought was well before the experience, well before the experience.
And I want to ask you here, as far as your YouTube channel is called Tarot for Traders, correct? No, correct.
Yeah, Tarot for Traders.
Tarot for Traders.
Tarot like the traders, yeah.
What inspired you to launch Tarot for Traders in your whole YouTube channel here?
I was pretty tired of knowing that I could do this, but not having. Most of my life was very difficult before I made it to Wall Street. And even after Wall Street, I lost everything and then had to get it all back. Like most of my life was very difficult. I didn't have a lot of money. So there was a long time in my life where I knew that I could do this, but I didn't have adequate proof. One, because I kept doing these readings and then tossing out the info and moving on. So one day I was like, you know what? I should turn this into something on a website, and I'll compile this database. My accuracy was probably like 75% when I started the website. But after about 1,000 of these dailies, which all the cards in the dailies were hashtags, so each post had a 1-day chart and a reading by hour for that day. I could go in and I could look at all of the readings that had that one card in it and look at the chart and see what the chart did. With that card represents a part of time on the chart, and what the chart did. So I could go to the next one, do it again. And that's where I really started to extrapolate this pattern. But it was really because I was just tired of not getting any credit and people not taking me seriously. Like I could do something like literally, it's a miracle, man. I do it every single day. It's a miracle. People say it's impossible. They will swear by everything they know that I'm full of crap and they don't need to waste their time to go look. I feel sorry for those people, really, because they're never going to evolve. And the way to evolve is to expand your consciousness. We're not limited now by the speed at which information travels. The limitation of our human development now, our evolution, is our ability. How fast can we come to believe that which we already have there discovered? It's right there for us to see and read and understand, but to believe it is so difficult. And the faster you can come to believe it, the faster you evolve.
Right.
It's the belief, the level of belief is directly proportional to the results of the manifestation. And I'm talking about manifestation because I'm talking about predicting the market. But when it comes down to it, I'm manipulating the fifth to draw me to a specific verse where that prediction comes to fruition. There was infinite versions of it. I just drove myself to the one where it was correct. It's a manifestation, if you will.
And again, having that belief, manifesting things, I feel like people in general don't really take that into account. And that's something that you really need to have, I would say, especially not just overall sense, but if you're coming into the market trying to make some money, you got to believe that you're going to make some money. You got to believe that I'm going to read these charts. I'm going to write my own analysis.
Yes.
I got to believe that this is going to manifest into something. And when it does, whoa. But
Yes.
again, that comes back to mentality. How do you believe and manifest something if you don't have the mentality to actually be thinking that way? And I'm pretty sure you could probably touch on this a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think there's actually along my studies, I uncovered, I guess you could call it a shortcut. It's as close to a shortcut as you can get to developing beliefs. It's called subliminal programming. So there's messages that you can program into your own subconscious. You don't consciously hear them. So you utilize some sort of software that will play and it's like an auditory, it makes sound, but it's below the threshold of conscious sound. It still makes the thought pattern in the mind. And that's the thing about the mind, is that when it hears something repeatedly, it comes to believe it. When it doesn't need to fight what it's hearing, it believes it that much faster. And so when you program using subconscious, you're not fighting these beliefs. It might be the most unbelievable thing you're trying to believe. But if you listen to these subliminals long enough, it will change your belief system. One day you'll just wake up and it'll be different. And as a result, your reality will be different. Because like I said, your reality is a projection of those belief systems. I wasn't always psychic. I had to develop this over a long time.
Yeah, that's another thing. Time, being patient. You guys have been listening and watching. It took 24 years to really get an analysis, man. That's not. And it's still working on it. It's still going. Like, I noticed you said 24 years and working, not 24. Like, it took me 24 years. He's still working on it, folks. He's still trying to perfect it. And that was actually kind of leading into my next question here is, how do you see your analysis evolving in the future? And do you plan on ever maybe incorporating AI? Because I know AI is a huge topic, huge thing. A lot of people feel like AI is going to do this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as trading, I'll probably incorporate AI into it at some point. As far as the predicting, I've thought about doing it because, like, really, when it comes down to it, I could flip a card, tell you what the stock chart is going to do. AI should be able to do that. There's a book I sell, and people read the book and they follow the system themselves, and they're able to do the same thing. So why wouldn't AI? So it's up for discussion. I don't know how I feel about AI yet. Siri and I don't get along very well, so I'm not sure about that. But it's a possibility. I think at some point, if you don't want to lose like a fair, like even playing field, if you can call it that, you probably are going to have to implement AI, because right now people don't understand. They're not trading against humans. There's other humans trading. They're trading against computers that are built by people with so much money that they could, let's have a computer that'll manipulate human emotion. That'll be fun. You think they don't have that? Come on, man.
Yeah.
If I was that rich, I sure as hell would.
They got machine learning AI there, just literally you can build it. And
that's why
The
The system
possibilities.
is that's like nobody's following it. The system, it doesn't follow anything that the AI even knows about. Like that right there is an edge in itself. And then on top of it, it's more reliable than any of that junk. So there's an edge there. The fact that it's so hard for people to take seriously, the ones that are smart enough to just take a peek, dude. Like I don't lose customers. Like maybe very rarely things happen, but like my retention's like in the 90s, just like my accuracy, dude. That doesn't happen unless you're doing something right. 109% of my sales, something like that, are from returning customers.
So you're like a guy that likes to be in the 90s. You've got 96, you got 90, 10. The 90s is guy's
I
theme.
never in a million years thought it would get to that, man. Never did I ever in my wildest dreams think I would be able to predict by the hour with that kind of accuracy. Like it wasn't even a goal when I started, man. It just evolved.
So what was the goal since you bring up when you actually started? Like just was like
I wanted to be able to make money. And as far as I could tell, everything that I learned from the industry about how to predict what a price was going to be was just a bunch of like a big load of crap. Like they're utilizing, I'm sorry, like they're utilizing the past to predict the future. And then at the same time saying the past does not guarantee future results, but we're going to use this to predict the future. It's so arbitrary, but because some guy did it and it made smart sense, it just became this thing that everybody uses. And look, now people make money using it. It was completely arbitrary at one point. Now people actually use it effectively. Why? Because it has such a strong belief system tied to it.
right.
Simple as that. But I'm not looking at the past. I'm looking at the future to predict the future. It just seems so much more like logical to me. But if you don't have the proper belief system, that doesn't even, it's not even a possibility in your mind to think of. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you on that one. I definitely hear you on that. And let's hear about how has like your personal life have changed since developing this, I would call almost trying to think what would be the nickname for your market predictor. I'm gonna call it the Terminator of the
Investor,
market. Okay.
investor profit, PH, not with an F. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the company at this point.
That's the
But
company.
yeah, it's a very solitary road. Like I'm not one to bullshit people. I'm just, you ask me what I do, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to tell you I'm a medium. I predict the stocks. Like you're either going to like what I said, you're going to be excited about it, you're going to take it seriously, or more likely you're going to think I'm trying to impress you, or
Uh,
I'm going to ask you for money in a second and try and pull a Ponzi scheme on you. I specifically do not invest other people's money for them because it would just open up a whole can of worms. I don't do it.
I got you.
Um, but like it's a very solitary road. Like I deal with it sounds funny to a lot of people, especially people that have dealt with prejudice themselves, but it is definitely a form of prejudice when you tell somebody that you're a psychic medium and they immediately determine that you're full of shit scumbag. What is that not? It's prejudice. And it's so commonly accepted that like people, I've had arguments with people who are like, dude, that's so offensive. How can you call that prejudice? I'm like, yeah, are you dealing with it? How do you know what it feels like?
No, for real.
Yeah, like it's crazy. So there's that on a daily basis. I've had guys that just wanted to fight me because they just couldn't handle that I was actually like
Yeah.
just got pissed off. And then there's girls that think I'm trying to pull a. Wouldn't I lie and say I was to try and scam somebody with? It just doesn't make any sense, dude.
Right. It's like, why
But
would
that's
you
what
want to
people.
put your time and energy into that? Like you, like,
120 videos a month, dude. Yeah,
yeah,
but they're gonna be full of crap, and then I'm gonna do it again next month on repeat for the rest of my life. Like, what kind of like it really does show like it's a measure of intelligence to be able to open your mind just for a few moments to the possibility of something so disbelief. It's not like by opening your mind to the possibility of it you're somehow getting scammed. You're allowing for a truth that maybe you didn't know possible to actually exist, and that's the only way that you grow past what you already know. How else do you grow past what you already know? So it's crazy, man. That's what I'm trying to do is wake people up, really.
no, trust me, I hear you on that. I would say do the same, just being in this particular space and just, or just in general. But again, it's just when people they don't want to budge and they just I feel like a lot of people
Oh,
hold on to things and it's they go, man. Like,
for me to do what I do requires them to recalibrate their entire belief system. They have to put everything they believe as real into question, just based on the fact that I'm not just doing it once. I'm doing it in such a way that if you want to take it seriously and look at it, there's absolutely no way you can fake this stuff, man.
Yeah.
And I tell people every day, I'm not right all the time. Like when I'm wrong, I'm like, oh no, this doesn't work. Like I'm still right way more than like the best analyst in the world by a landslide.
Yeah. And people
It's
gotta realize that nobody's perfect. Nobody, there's going to be times where this messes up or that prediction's not what you thought it might have been, but it's still better than just being not even involved at all. You got people that are just
yeah,
constantly on the sideline, just waiting. I hear people all the time like, oh, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. Oh, if you wait, that's no the problem. You're waiting to
the
see
rumors
all
tell the
like
news, my
exactly like you're waiting for the glamour and all that. No, you have to be involved now. You have to get educated now because the way tech moves, especially in the crypto space, it moves ridiculously fast. So if you're not learning right now, I feel like in the next 5, 10 years, I'd say this. I feel like we're gonna get replaced as far as like jobs and stuff like that. I feel like we're gonna go to the metaverse and
stuff,
people are
a lot
gonna
of
be
stuff.
doing
Yeah,
jobs in there because you gotta look around what's going on. And
yeah,
job are getting
100%.
great. Quiet as campus.
Everything. We're huge transition. It's the beginning of what they call the age of Aquarius. We entered into this, and it's really like this high vibration. Like society is going to wake up on the mass scale, or is already in the process of waking up on the mass scale. And you see this in like things like when Robinhood, before they became like the company everybody like is so pissed at now. When they first came out, they were like the company that forced all of the jerk companies that had been around for years to do what they should have done to begin with, but nobody was doing it because they all had, everybody was just, oh, let's just charge these people for whatever. Like we'll charge them for every commission, like we'll charge them for this, and nobody could say anything about it because every single one of those scumbag companies was doing it. And then Robinhood comes in, does the right thing, and all of a sudden you either did the right thing or you were done, my friend.
Right.
That on repeat, you just every category across the board, one by one, that will happen, my friend. Capital One in the banking system, look at that company, because they treat their customers like actual people.
Yeah. And
And that's from somebody who hates banks. I'll just throw that in there. So.
trust me, I have my feelings of how I feel about the bank, but we're not going to talk about that today. But what do you hope as far as the long-term impact of your work on the financial markets and investors will be? Because obviously, like I said earlier, you work on the thing for 24 years. Time's going to go on. We'll probably continue to work on this. We might circle back in the
I want it to
next.
be
Go ahead.
I want it to be accepted as a third form of analysis, right up there with fundamental and technical analysis, ESO Meta Analysis. It's like in school, we used to do these like X plus Y equals Z equations, and
Yep.
you'd have the value of X. But if you didn't have the value of Z or of Y, how were you going to figure out what Z was? So, like a technical analyst is like somebody trying to make that equation. They're trying to figure out what Z is, and they only have X to work with. If you take the Y, which in my opinion is ESO Meta Analysis, and you throw it into the equation, you've got the X, the Y, and the Z becomes very easy. So once people figure that out, but it's so, dude, it's so ahead of its time. It's so far on the fringe. I chances are I'll be gone before people take it seriously. But there's so much evidence already. There's so much overwhelming evidence. Like by the time it hits the masses, like the masses catch on to what I'm actually doing, somebody's going to try and shut me down, man. Because if everybody knew how accurate I was,
Yeah.
like how would that work anymore? How would that work? It's like almost like a kudos to the people that were early on to take that risk and look into it. God, what a risk to spend 5 minutes
I know.
looking at something that could potentially change your entire financial situation for the rest of your life. But it's so unbelievable. I'm not going to look. I'm going to spend 5 minutes brushing my teeth. Like,
That's the crazy part because I feel like there are people out there that have these financial situations wherever it might be. I don't care where it is, but they don't want to take just a little time to see if they can figure out and solve it. And it's if you have evidence, like hard evidence that says, hey, if you do X, Y, Z, this could potentially happen to you. But it's they're just like, no, I don't want to do it. It's dude, you're never gonna experience something that other people have experienced. Like the example I can
if you
use.
want to live a life if you want to live a life that nobody's lived, you have to do things nobody's done. Like you can't expect to get like these crazy rewards without putting some risk out there. And like, where's the fun in not risking for something like great, something that maybe most people think is unattainable, but you have this strong belief in it? Like, why not go for it? That's basically what I'm doing.
Exactly. Closing thoughts here. What's next for you and tarot for traders?
I think this alerts thing that we just launched it on
Right.
Monday. This is actually probably going to be one of our most effective products that we have on the website. It's $75 a month. Basically, you get live alerts for crypto, or $75 a month live alerts for stocks, or you can get the two for 125. It's a new thing, but it's already become a very effective tool. I think that's going to really spread it. And then we just also this week went from just streaming on YouTube and Twitch to like multi-streaming on X, TikTok, Facebook, Trovo, a bunch of things. So I think really we're gonna explode the second half of this year. We're almost at 2,000 followers on YouTube, which is like virtually nothing. There's this astrologer that I follow, Marin Altman. She's got, I don't know, like she's got a couple 100,000 followers on YouTube. What I'm doing, dude, isn't even this. She's not even in the same playing field. What she does is great. I'm not knocking her, but like,
Mhm.
she's got 5 years on me, right? If she's like at 200,000 5 years from now, I should be at a mill, because there's nobody else in the world that can do this. Not like me.
Yeah.
Nobody sat there every single trading day looking at the stock chart for an hour, looking at the card, looking at the stock chart for an hour, and then put it together. Nobody was crazy enough. Nobody was ignorant enough to think that they could actually do it. But me, I was the only crazy ignorant person, stubborn when things didn't go right. When you try to show somebody prediction and maybe it's not 100% accurate, oh, see, this doesn't work, and then you just move on. Prejudice. Would you do that to an analyst? It's
Yeah.
prejudice.
You're not doing it.
So yeah,
I hear you on that. And is there a message or insight that you'd like to leave our listeners here with here today?
like I said, the cause of the fourth dimension, the cause of everything that we experience here in the earth plane, if you will, it comes from the fifth, right? And the way that we can get in tune with that is by having an idea of what we're thinking, and controlling our thoughts and directing our thoughts, not thinking about things that we don't want, thinking about things that we do want, right? That once you get that down, which you can, it takes studying. It's not like you watch the movie The Secret and then that's the end of it. You figured it out. Like, I read a ton of books on this stuff and I failed a million times. I almost went crazy figuring it out, but I did figure it out. So when you do that and you realize you can create these things, the one law is love, my friends. Make sure that you're doing it out of love, and you won't get in any trouble. You can't just do it out of love.
Out of love. All we need is love. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up, at least for today's episode. I want to say thank you again for Adam here joining our show and telling us all about his ESO Meta Analysis. You guys have learned anything today? Mentality, always got to be pushing yourself. Don't give up. Stick with it. Take some risks. Not saying every risk is going to be
Absolutely.
reward, but hearing from him, guy's been working on this thing for 24 years and still working on it. This guy's doing something that nobody else is really doing. So if you guys did enjoy the podcast, the show, make sure y'all leave some love. Also, if you guys want to follow Adam and his YouTube channel, Tarot for Traders, I'll leave all that information. Adam, is there any last cool words you want to say here before we kind of jet off from the show?
Now we've got a sale on the site right now. It's a pretty dope sale, so worth checking it out. But other than that, I think we did pretty well. It's a good talk.
All right. Thank y'all again. I am your host, the Wolf of Crypto. Y'all have been watching the Wolf of Crypto podcast. Until next time, y'all take it easy. Peace.